Top of the morning to ya. Good morning, everybody. Well, today we got a big project we're gonna start. Can you guess what it is? For once, it's not working on the Escort. Looks like we're finally gonna tear into the pickup truck here. She's getting a little rough around the edges and not really running all that great. We've been running on 5 cylinders for about the past year now, and it used to be the little extra throttle would bring number 6 around, but that's no longer the case. We also don't have any heat anymore, so that head gasket blow has gotten to the point where it pushes water out of that part of the system almost immediately. Just want to give a quick little shout out to my buddy Michael, aka Will. He goes by Will these days. This is going to be known as the Will Rebuild because he's the one that sponsored this. This was a little Christmas gift he got me. Thank you very much, buddy. I can't wait to get this truck running right again. That way I can keep up with people like my neighbor over there who thinks he's got a hot rod. Because, you know, any car or truck with no exhaust is a hot rod. And clearly, we're going to be rebuilding a real race beast here. But no, in all seriousness, thank you, buddy. I really do appreciate this. Cannot wait to tear into it today. We got a little bit of a stretch we got to make before we actually get this project going. We got to drive about 40 miles up to my dad's property. He's been generous enough to loan out the garage to me, so we'll be working alongside my other actual hot rod. You guys will see it in the background. You'll probably be wondering the whole time, why the hell aren't we working on that? Well, old Reliable is very reliable, and so we're not going to be working on that. Say what they will about Ford, and obviously I'm working on it, so it has had its issues, but this was a $1,200 truck, and I bought it, I hate to say it, but 5 years ago. And when I bought it, I didn't expect it to last even longer than a year. One season of driving around, beating on it, while I looked for a solution for my wagon. And she held on for 5 years. You know, I think this head gasket's actually been blown for about 3 of those years. It only just got to the point now where it started canceling out one cylinder. And I'll show you guys some pictures of what I'm talking about here, because I actually bore scoped it. It's not great. It's back here. This one right here. So, yeah, she's put up with an awful lot of abuse. I think I've only ever done maybe 2 fresh oil changes in that 5 years. All the rest of the time that she's needed top-ups on oil because crappy plastic valve covers from the 90s don't do so well at actually sealing. All the top-ups I've done on this vehicle have been used oil. Some of it was the oil I caught from the truck doing the first fresh change, and some of it was actually oil from the Escort. She's rough around the edges, but she's been a good truck. I have beat the crap out of this thing. I've gone camping in it. I've had friends, you know, doing crazy target practice out of it at the range and doing donuts in the dirt and just all kinds of stuff off camera. This vehicle's been absolutely a blast to me, and I like to keep it around because it's useful having a pickup truck. So, you know, she's a 5-speed, so it's fun to drive. It feels like a hot rod. So that's about enough waffling. Let's get her fired up and get on our trek up north. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. No, they're not raised piss jugs, okay? Even though my life is kind of like Trailer Park Boys and Red Green Show and a little bit of Mad Max, though we don't talk about that one. No, they're not raised piss jugs. Stop thinking that. Short. This is why you don't blue devil a vehicle that you plan on rebuilding. So this is actually coolant from the Escort. When I blue deviled the car before I knew I was going to rebuild it, I basically never stopped paying for it. This is what blue devil does to your system. It stays in it. It gets caught in every galley and in your heater core, and basically what's happening with the Escort is the damn thermostat keeps getting stuck open. So at least it's not overheating, but we're on like our 3rd flush now, and I'm still fighting that stuff. Oh, you bastard. Too much moisture. Now we're gonna battle the battery. Or I could just push start the stupid thing. All kinds of things along the way, so I don't know how long this rebuild's gonna take, because I'm sure once we get those heads off, we're gonna find other issues, but freaking hate these battery terminals. This stupid thing is supposed to keep that from spinning. It no longer does its job. I'm gonna have to replace those too soon. We got ourselves some battery life there. About 10, 11 volts. Hard to say. Somewhere above 8, you know. One of the benefits of a manual. Yep, not the healthiest sounding water pump in the world either. Another one of those things we're going to replace. What old girl's going to need is a new exhaust system. I've got leaks all throughout it, and honestly, that's one of the things today that scares the crap out of me that we're going to be getting into. My exhaust system is like the side of the Titanic. Those bolts are just, they don't want to move. We have a couple major holes in the exhaust system. Muffler's gone. Can't even get the damn bolts to move to take all that stuff off, so that's going to be a real scary reality today. But this is how it's been since day one. It's only gotten worse. But we've always had a leak right about here. So, you know, when you're going down the road, you gas yourself out just a little bit as you go. Have heat for the first 5 minutes of the drive. Just topped up my rad. It's not gonna last. Real touch and go right now, as you can imagine. That's happening because we're losing all the coolant in our system. So now the temperature gauge is reading much warmer than it should. Ah, there's a nice asshole on the road. Yep. It all really adds to that Mad Max feeling, you know? Got assholes on the road. People just bumming on the side of the road to try and survive. We've got a vehicle that's running quite questionably. We don't even know if we're gonna make it where we're going. Touch and go everywhere we are. Slight smell of gasoline exhaust in my cab and in the air. Hell, the only thing we're missing is spikes, lights, and bigger tires and a push bar in the front of the truck. And maybe some spare fuel tanks, a couple oil drums in the bed, some barbed wire on the hood. Then we'd be set. This isn't really a step-by-step rebuild. There's plenty of those videos that already exist out there, so I don't need to be the go-to guy for that. In fact, I'm going to be using some of those videos for the torque specs. This engine will sound pretty damn good with a better exhaust system, to be honest with you. Now, I know a lot of you aren't going to believe me when I tell you, but we basically already ran out of coolant. Now, I ran out of coolant before I even got on the highway. And this thing, as you can hear, just keeps going. So for those of you less experienced or less familiar with the Vulcan 3.0, they will run pretty much without incident on no coolant. She'll do it. And, you know, I know you guys probably won't believe me, so I may just stop somewhere and show you guys, do a little pit stop and fill her coolant back up, just to show you. May not be the most powerful horse in the stable, but she's a tough little bastard for an engine. I mean, seriously, that thing will just put up with all kinds of punishment. This is proof of that. So for anybody bad-mouthing Rangers, you know, yeah, some things break, but these 3.0s are pretty tough. You can put up with a lot of abuse. Listen to that little beast go. It really is a shame that she needs a rebuild like this, because, you know, she don't run too bad for being a piece of crap. Be a much better truck after this project. Hell, I might even replace this dashboard. You can still get this, believe it or not. There I go. I get assholes, I swear. Never fails. And he is going my way. God dang it. Let's watch him make the slowest turn in history. 7 miles an hour. And he's over the line. Oh, what a great driver you are, buddy. This is the spot that screwed up my Escort's wheel. Right here. Looks like they patched it. Too bad they didn't patch it sooner. You know, Les Schwab actually fixed that rim for me. I couldn't believe it was repairable. They fixed it, and they did it for free. Pretty cool. I probably don't even need to do this, but just to show you that I wasn't lying. The rest of that is just steam. So this is how you know if you have a blown head or not. They don't always make chocolate milk and they don't always burn it. Sometimes you get exhaust in the coolant instead. Still going. Still going. One whole jug. Not done yet. Jug 2. There we go. You know you have a problem if it's this color and it's this bubbly. Got our heat back again for a couple minutes. Yep. And our gauge is reading right just above the first tick of normal. And that's because we actually have water in the system at the sending unit. In a little while it's going to go back up to the middle, and that's because once again the exhaust will have pushed all the water out of the system into the overflow where it'll bubble out. To be clear, while I could seal off the overflow and prevent the water from leaving the system, that would put a lot of excess pressure on the lower rad hose and the upper rad hose. My lower hose isn't exactly the healthiest. This would expand like a balloon until it burst. So it's better to just let it run out of the system if you're dealing with this problem. Well guys, this is it. She made it. She made it to our car hospital. So we're going to take the battery off first. We're going to get into this. There's a lot of stuff on the top here to take off, and we're just going to get started on it. I'm not going to go and show all that, waste all the time on that, because it's all kind of self-explanatory. Did not know how old this battery was. Wow. Still doing its job. According to that, it's not even that low. Of course, I just drove the truck, so this will be interesting. We'll see if there's any coolant left at all. Kind of like how Ford tapered this frame member here. It's perfect for letting the coolant run down to the actual draining spot. I don't expect much to come out, but we'll see. We'll see how much is in the system still. Somehow got under the tarp. That's not a lot of coolant left. That's all we had after just a few miles from topping it up. That's it. So it absolutely was not running on much coolant.
Okay, well it doesn't have to be drained all the way down there.
No, it doesn't. So, but I was just doing that for effect. This engine will run on no coolant.
Like kind of as we take them off, because then they're almost in order when we go to put them back.
I didn't do that. Somebody closed up the little hole there in the intake. Real nice job. Professional. No wonder she's so fuely. I'm sure we're going to find all kinds of great little Pandora's box secrets in this thing, you know. We can't even get past the simple stuff because of the glue master here. God dang it, Harold, what the hell? The guy I bought this truck from's name is Harold. So, Harold Hager. And you know what? Yeah, sounds about right. About the kind of name you'd expect with that kind of craftsmanship.
Harold
Hacker, yeah. I wonder about crap like this. They don't come that way. Like, why cut that hole, right? Go ahead and get this radiator out of the way. Figure it'll make it a little bit easier, just a little more space in front here. Alrighty. Depressor. Tools you only use every once in a great while, but it's nice to have when you need it. I hate these things. They're nice to go back on, but they suck to take off. Might have to pull the bottom. Oh, there you go. Good job. Helps to have a second set of hands. That goes to 1, 2, and that's out of the way. Totally loose, huh? There's about 5 bolts here that we had to remove. One was hidden in the back. These are actually studs. They're functioning like bolts though, because of the rust. This is nature's thread locker, as I call it. Here, go ahead and put that guy on top. Just keep track of that. Alright.
No, these aren't made this way.
Are they? I think so. It looks like a nut to me. Alright, so there we go. Oh, look at all the oil. Healthy.
Is it a new one?
It does. Evap and crankcase pressure, all that. After all that's out of the way, here we are. And that's the easy stuff, supposedly. It is a tiny little motor, isn't it? I mean, you start taking all of the stuff off the top of this thing and tiny little thing. So now we're going to go ahead and struggle with this fan here, this left-hand thread. This is not going to be fun, so I'll probably just jump around, as we've been doing, because that guy, I am told, is a real bear to get off. We don't even have the tool.
It's got to get fatter quicker.
So this wasn't that big of a deal. But I just took a piece of wood here and wedged it between the belt and the pulley, and that was enough. And remember, this is a left-hand thread deal. You know, the manual throws caution to that. But it broke loose. It wasn't so bad. They told us this was going to be hard.
Don't jinx us.
Is there any real wood around here? The closest we got is this trim. Get our power steering bracketry out of the way, which, yeah, that's not happy.
We should be getting
Not
some,
happy.
Do you have any oil?
Yeah.
You got somewhere?
I'll go get it. Sometimes you just gotta start all over from scratch, you know? It's kind of what we're doing here. Start over, look at the crap that people did, and fix it right. Breathe new life into this truck. That's what we're gonna do. Hidden bolts. Already got this guy loose. One right under here, and one on the other side. If there is any redemption value in how-to in this video. Got the sneaky hidden bolts out of the way, brackets out of the way.
Stick it in the other way.
Okay.
It's there.
Perfect.
Now we're gonna, looking at the water pump, that might be in the way of our.
Oh, it looks like they did such a great job with their water pump. I can see all kinds of overpaste. I kind of figured. All kinds of fun over here. Got a lot of stuff still to clear off the top here. Got the fuel rails unhooked.
Up here. Give me.
Yeah. This thing really is the greasiest project we got. What's this? Oh yeah. Man, this thing has never been.
Pull your plug wires.
Never been cleaned.
Pull out the distributor cap.
Yeah, you pulling them off the cap or the plugs themselves? Plugs?
Off the plugs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this sucker is a pit. A very greasy pit. It's amazing it ran as good as it did. It's just tangled up. Go ahead and get the cap out of here real quick. See, that's stuck. There we go. Yeah, it don't look too great under there. It's had a lot of moisture problems over the years. Now I remember when
Look at the corrosion on your
I know, and this was a new cap. I replaced this cap because of the same problem. The original cap on the truck, these had loosened up, and somehow the truck was running with the top of the cap no longer actually doing, being held down by the screws. It was nuts. This thing ran that way. Kind of an interesting setup because, pretty old school still. Take this water pump off, and the very first bolt I chose to undo here was already loose. So I know for a fact that someone's monkeyed in here, because that's not right. Oh my god. Oh, look at that. It looks like, yeah, that's time to come off. Yeah, real healthy. Yeah, I know. Like he glued maybe 2 gaskets on there, or he left the stick paper or whatever.
Yeah, and then just put a bunch of goop on top of it. And
yeah, that's what the thermostat looked like when I first changed it out.
Yeah.
The first time the first year. Look at this. Holy crap. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's RTV. Wow. Incredible, hacker. That's some star mechanicking right there. Harold Hacker. Star jackass mechanic. Look at that. It's got stick paper on the back. That's the stick paper. You're supposed to peel that off. This is the same damn thing he did with the thermostat, too. Already snapped our first exhaust stud. Fun. Get to the back one, but I don't think I can do it with this socket. They all appear to be 13. Guy was saying you have to go from below. You can't. Not possible. Too much stuff in the way. Oh yeah, there we go. She moved. At least the bolts are gonna come off nice. Not so sure about the studs. Tried our PB blaster on it, but we weren't having much luck with the PB blaster. I'm gonna have a lot of fun when it comes to cleaning this damn engine up. My god. Love these kind of fights. Tighten it, spray it with lube, loosen it, spray it with lube, tighten it, back and forward, in hopes we don't snap another.
we had to cut those
Yep.
and get them out. And
When I first got this truck, that was my exhaust leak sound was right down there, and the bolts have walked out and frozen solid in rust. Gotta love when they go with a through bolt here for the, the last exhaust stud. That's not factory at all. That was fun to get out of there, out of the top. But we're free. Manifolds are unbuckled from the engine. Arrangement of studs and bolts for the valve cover, all in 8mm. Figured I might as well document that just because. Bolt, bolt, stud, 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 bolt, stud, bolt. And on the other side, stud, 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 bolt, bolt, stud, stud. Okay, now we know. Got the one side off, working on the other one here. Somebody's still hanging on somewhere. Typical. Just typical. Okay. Probably because the camera's on, That's typically how that goes, in a very typical fashion. Now we're going to go ahead and pull our rockers and our push rods, and we're going to make sure to keep the order exactly how it came out, because you want to make sure that everything here, it all has wear on it. You want the wear to match back up where it belongs. So there we go. All right. First of many. Okay, so we've got all our push rods, rockers out of the way here. Doing these Torx deals now. It's a good thing we had to do that gas tank job beforehand. We took the bed off to replace the fuel sending unit in this truck, and that's why we have these, because taking the bed off, it's the same, that was tight. There we go. Let's see if there's any more hiding. There might be. Or maybe that distributor. I don't know. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it's being hung up by something back here.
Yeah. The other side.
Yeah, I
too.
can see it, and guess what? The distributor is right in the way.
Of course.
Right there. So there are 8. Okay, so this is one of those situations every mechanic hates to run into, and it's a conflict between the engine designers and the chassis designers. So this distributor here is damn near impossible to get on the back underside there to the nut or bolt that is holding it in place. And of course it happens to be right above the last Torx 50 I need to get to take this intake off. So rather than sit here and get pissed off, fight with the hood and everything else, the first thing we're going to try to do, since this side is fully free, all the Torx are off on this side, we're just going to go ahead and pull that side first. And then on this side, we're going to unbuckle all these. We're going to leave this manifold and this guy together and just lift them off as one unit. The designers clearly cared. Number 1.
That was forged better, I think.
You get the point. Okay, let's see if our idea works. It looks like it does. Check that out. Can we slide her forward and avoid this distributor problem? I figured. There it is. Alright, so there's the dead cylinder right here. There's our head gasket. I don't know. Let's see, does it look like there any blows? So this is the one that had moisture in it. This was the cylinder right here. And you can kind of see by the top of the coloration on the piston. Alright, let's see what we got here. Got some cracks it'll show us, or are you just weird? But I don't see any cracks. Top right. Yeah, right there. That kind of looks like travel, like water had been flowing there. Hopefully it didn't mine any of our block away, you know. But, yeah, there's still crosshatch in that cylinder. I'll clean these up. We'll get the other side taken off now. Look at this. We got a clogged water jacket right here on the, and that's the cylinder that was...
That's the shit he was putting in to try to stop this leak.
So that's like Blue Devil or something else. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That was not flowing at all. And she ran that way. Get some arts and crafts and make some clay sculptures. Jeez, man. That is something else. Didn't even notice that when we first pulled it. Just looked down and noticed this clay structure sticking out of the water jacket there. Wow. Alright, that's a one day. There we are. I'll go get a look at those heads sitting next to each other in a second here. This was our problem child right here. I wouldn't doubt that I'd been driving this truck around on a blown head gasket since day one, because I didn't put any of that K-seal crap in my car. Not in this one. That someone had too much fun, blew the gasket, K-sealed it, sold it to me. Well, we got 5 years out of her, actually, and it could have kept going, but it was getting pretty unpleasant. Well, there it is. You can see the color difference right there. There's the rusty water that, you know, flooded in and out of the cylinder. It's the only one that color. The other ones are pretty sooty, but they were doing their job. So, running on 5. And a water jacket full of clay. Alright, so now, that about wraps it up for us tonight. I'm going to get these heads to our engine guy, our machine shop. And I'll probably get my hands dirty cleaning this block, doing a bunch of boring stuff. But for tonight, we're going to take a break. That's far enough. I do have one other issue I need to get to here. This is very common on these motors. The back of the timing here, the water pump cover and timing cover kind of combo here, it tends to leak right here. They push out. And of course, you can see the rusty colored on my block there. drainage. So it's definitely leaking. I'm probably gonna have to pull that, which means pulling the harmonic balancer and getting that cover off, and hopefully we have a good tight timing chain, you know, because I really don't want to deal with that. But mainly the objective there would be to stop the leak here, because we're here, we might as well. But that's gonna do it for tonight. So this is, we didn't do this, of course. This is the passenger side head. This is the very back toward the firewall. They had a through bolt through it. Like my dad was saying, he thinks they snapped the stud, and rather than pull the head or do any of that stuff, they took the best position they could get a drill into and drilled it out for a through bolt, because every other one you thread into, nice and straight, goes right towards, you know, right where it should, perpendicular, perfectly. But that's the quality of hackmanship right there. Harold hackmanship.
So we had to get that drilled straight, and maybe they can do that for us, just drill it straight. We'll talk to them about it. Let's just bring that with us, and we'll take that with us when we leave.
Guys, today is all about cleaning up this greasy pit. I don't have a parts washer, and we didn't pull the motor anyway, so I'm going to do the best I can. We got little Kiki in the background back there. I know the video's not about Kira, but she's the shop ferret. She's my little emotional support ferret for this craziness, aren't you, Kira? Yeah, she's sleeping. Caspian wasn't being nice to her, so I brought her along. Yep, we're going to clean this greasy pit up. A lot of boring stuff. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere on this cleanliness. That's really starting to clean up nicely, but I need to take this timing cover off now because, and oh man, it looks like Harold the hacker once again. No wonder he got real crazy with it. He chipped my timing cover. Look at that. I just now noticed that after all this dirt was covering it up. Kind of scary when you start taking grease off, because you start finding stuff that you know, the grease was covering up. But we're gonna go ahead and take this off. I gotta get this harmonic balancer out. There's 4 bolts down here that need to be taken off. Old impactor should do the trick. No wonder he had so much goop over the damn thing. That's really bad. And I think what happened was, you know, he wanted to change out the water pump, and Mr. Pry Bar came out because he was having a hard time separating it and did its job poorly. It's the problem with, you know, working on stuff that people get their magic screwdrivers out, because they usually screw things up. Got them out. We got a problem though. There we go.
A little rusty.
Just a little rusty. A little bit of nature's glue. You know, nature's welding. 13/16 seems to fit. Not exactly the impact type of socket, but you know.
Well, I was trying. There you go. Well, that made it easy.
Now we just got to get a puller on that.
Pays to have the right tool.
Adding to the mad maxim of this vehicle, the question, should I spend probably too much on one of these, or should we, you know, JB Weld. And new puller. Fun.
Come closer, actually. A bit soft. I think you want to bring it way down.
Oh man, she's really on there. Real stuck on there, and we may just be not clearing the actual balancer to the shaft with that cup, or that cone. So we're going to go ahead and do something that we probably isn't recommended, but we're just going to leave the bolt a little out and see if we can
go all the way in, then I'll tighten.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can push off the bolt instead. Reverse cone here on the end of it. We're going to bolt this sucker in and see if this works better. Probably not the orthodox method, but it seems to be our only choice at the moment. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't just turn the bolt in.
No, it's moving it out. That's what was happening. That swivel
Yeah,
thing didn't work.
we were bottoming out on the balancer itself.
Yeah, we were a quarter inch.
So much for the centering cone.
Well, that's why they give you the other thing. Use your common sense. Okay, we're there.
A little tight.
That's as far.
Easy enough. We may have to do this a couple times, but then again, we might get lucky just on this term. Either way, you get the point. Well, it should have separated by now. We're so far off the engine.
Okay, that's as far as you can go.
Someday it'll come out, right?
Well, I don't understand. Is
It's
that all part of it?
super long. Using, you know, commander persuasion over there, but we were careful not to bend the crank too much. As I always say, it will be a race car, right? Clearly. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yep. As an old shit box should be, oil in the threads. Little rubber mallet trick there. Just be easy on her. Let's not create any more chips and problems. Important to note, if you're ever working here on one of these, that there are 2 pan bolts right there that are into this cover, and you're going to want to remove that. 2 sneaky little oil pan bolts out of the way. This should just come right off now. At least we're in. So, when it comes to the timing chain wear, according to the Chilton's manual, they call for approximately 6 degrees of rotation between the cam and the crank, which means that you should be able to move, and they said it on the crank, that the crank should be able to travel 6 degrees, full 6 degrees, so from one side slacked, I believe they called for 4, 5, and 6, which is this side, they were saying that there should be about 6 degrees of travel before it even engages the cam. If we're even only at 1 degree, this is probably okay. I've been searching all over the forums to get an idea as to when it's time to change this, and I've gotten a lot of answers. Some people say when the cover comes off. And I know we're kind of here. They're only about 40 bucks to do, but the thing is, those $40 timing chains are Amazon Chinesium specials, so and eBay. You don't really know what you're going to get, so I'm not really sure if we aren't just going to, you know, leave this for another time. I'm definitely going to clean all this crap up, though, while we're in here. That's not negotiable. But, yeah, I don't know. That might not actually be all that bad. Which, for a motor with 241,000 miles on it, I would say, yeah, it's probably time to change that timing chain, but I just don't know. I will tell you this, there's nothing slapping. Like, it's not slapping on the covers anywhere, so that's nice. A lot of other engines seem, different makes and models, different years, all seem to have that problem, but this right here seems to be pretty stout in terms of that. Just like with the head gasket, we want to get as much of the old gasket off as possible, and I mean pretty much all of it. And you can usually tell, like it can be tricky to tell depending on the condition of your surface, but a lot of times if it looks bumpy, it's not pitting and rust, it's just remnants of the gasket. And I know some people might cringe at using a razor knife to do this, but I'm going to be honest with you, I've done this once before, multiple times before, on vehicles where it was a lot more critical than this. And it didn't hurt those vehicles, so I don't think this old Ford pushrod motor is going to care too much. she'll at least care less than, you know, what happened with Harold's build. I mean, let's be honest. This thing was in a lot worse shape when I got it open. But yeah, I've had friends wonder just how far you have to go to get all that gasket material off. Well, let's just say if you can take a blade and bite into something like that, and you're pulling off pieces like that, then you still have gasket on your surface. Really starting to clean up. We're getting our valve covers detailed here. We're going to do a good enough job. They're not going to be amazing, but they're so much better than they were. I'm still working on this area here. My dad's cleaning the manifold. I mean the timing cover, excuse me. I've got the manifold on my mind back there. And I gotta say this. The nice thing about a vehicle like this is all the fun you want to have with the vehicle back there, but none of the guilt, because it isn't that, it's this. So that's what I really like about this vehicle. It's not that it is powerful, but this is a very simple design here. It's every bit as simple as what's going on here, really. It's all the fun of this, not the power, just the fun. I mean, like the Mad Maxim, burning your tires up, not worrying about what you're doing to this vehicle. It's all that fun without beating that up. None of the guilt. All the fun, none of the guilt. Oh, and way cheaper. Love this car. Will always love this car. Cannot bring myself to beat on it, obviously. Seal. We're going to try to remove this. Okay. Just a good solid hit. There we go. This one. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Scrubby, scrubby, scrubby. The cylinder numbers are on the manifold. Of course, you never would have known with how much dirt was on there. There's 2, there's 3. One's right here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It was stubborn. This is a red, so that's a paint, so could be the same thing. But anyway, had to get a little creative, but we got it. Getting to be a lot cleaner. Still got a little bit hanging on here and there, but got most of that transfer paint stuff off. This surface has a little ways to go yet. A little bit of gasket right there. We're getting there. Then over here, we got our professionally rebuilt water pump and timing cover. We're just going to pretend that that's not JB Weld. But not really looking to buy a new one of these, so.
No, it's got a couple, but I think
Sealant will take care of that. They expect you to use a touch anyway with the gasket, so not a big deal. It was a bear to get this guy out. But we did. I got a new one of these, so we won't have any leak at the front of the motor. Pretty neat. They put the cylinder numbers in the firing order down on this too. They do that on a lot of manifolds, I guess, but this one's just a stock manifold, so it's kind of cool to see that. Still got to pull this guy and put the new thermostat in too. That's not a big deal though. The only thing that we were saying was we don't understand how the hell someone destroys, like with a chisel or whatever. And look at this. Clearly something had fell in to here. Something small at some point in time. Kind of resembles what happened to my Escort with the valve seat, but not quite as bad. Very interesting, not the most encouraging thing to see. Just adds to the Mad Maxim of this vehicle, I guess. At least just to freshen up that gasket, because it may not be orthodox, but well, I just don't want to trust it that much. This right here, this bolt in particular, actually goes into the water jacket. It's supposed to. and I'm pretty sure that's why you get leaks. It's usually on this side, on the passenger side of the motor, that you see this leak, and mine was indeed leaking there, and it's probably this guy's fault right here. So we went ahead and we're going extra. We're going to do both sides of the gasket too, of course.
Those pins, hang on a minute.
Trying to line up the dowels. Looking decent here, but kind of a hilariously fat gasket. Probably going to trim that a little bit later. It's funny, the kid that was doing this says, don't forget to torque your bolts. And he shows himself torquing the bolts, but he doesn't tell you the torque specs. Like, what's the point of showing me your torque wrench? So 18.7, which we're not going to bother with the 7s, but 18 for the two big ones. When you're doing this, you want to do it way more than you're supposed to, like Harold did. See how he got it all over? And you want to leave the stick-on paper, which this gasket conveniently did not have. So be sure to get some stick-on paper, use duct tape, just overdo it, use the entire tube. No. Swear to God, half of the product is air. Barely get to this point and you almost run out. Can't even spare you a few drops. That's all nicely addressed. Let's start working on the thermostat while we got that tube of Permatex open here. Because I'm willing to bet that this thermostat that I replaced is no good anymore. And the jackass mounted this belt wheel with 4 different types of bolts. Real good job. Just whatever he had laying around. We got Phillips, we got different head sizes, different types of cast. It's just good. It's a mix and match. You know, in case you're not irritated enough changing your socket twice. Just great. Just lovely. First time I had changed this guy out, the dude had left the sticky paper on the gasket. And not only that, he had the thermostat upside down. That was the whole reason I was changing it out, was because I had no heat when I first got this truck.
He has it upside down, don't he?
No, that's the correct way. I put that in. You can tell because there'll be a little thing here. It's hard to see with all the rust right now, but it fits in right there. That little guy was sticking up. Cleaned up. Some of the rust out of the system. Harmonic balancer back on. About ready to zip that back down. Alright, so this is real simple. A lot of people get this wrong. I don't know why. Thermostat has this little egg casted, pressed, or machined, whatever. It's pressed with a little bit of an egg lobe here, and that little nub sticking out there, they stick in there. And you can see that the housing is casted that way. That's not perfectly circular. There's a little bit of an egg nub or lobe. That's the right direction. And for reference, if you pull your thermostat off of this manifold and it's facing this way, that's correct. If it's facing the other way, that's why you had no heat. I had mentioned previously that the first time I had done this truck thermostat, it was not only in the wrong direction, but you see this sticky paper? The guy had left this on the gasket and then pasted over the top of this. And it's amazing it didn't leak, but you're supposed to peel that off. And yeah, you can use RTV on this gasket, it's fine. I mean, it's got a sticky side, which is for convenience sake, but I'm probably going to just take a little dab of RTV just to be sure, because my surfaces are slightly boogered from years of idiots scraping, you know, to get it clean. Really doesn't take much. That's something you see a lot of people doing wrong, is putting too much. Hold the reservoirs, because it is nasty in there, as you can probably imagine, from years of neglecting the problem and just filling it with water and all that exhaust enriched coolant being blasted into the reservoir and out. So we're going to go ahead and, you know, clean this up. We're pretty cold here right now. So cold the hose is frozen. But yeah, this stuff, you know, we don't really want to put a fresh cooling system back together with all that in it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and fix on that. Started to turn the right color. Wow. Oh boy, this hasn't looked this good since ever. Never, never, never. Figured why not, right? I'm not going to detail the whole damn truck, but every once in a while it's nice to put things back cleaner than they were. You know, that way at least you're kind of gaining some ground. You're not just maintaining even. Do that enough and the entire truck looks new. Sure. Well, we're back, guys. Things are a lot cleaner. Got ourselves some freshened up heads here. Looking really good thanks to my machine shop. Went ahead and did all the valves, valve seats. Everything is fresh here. So we're not just putting back worn out valves. You know, the only thing on this engine that's going to have wear would be pistons and, you know, some bearings and such, of course. But this right here, the top end, totally going to be fresh. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install these components, though I do have to go get a couple extra parts. I'm going to replace my lower radiator hose because it looks like crap. It looks like Strand Me Now. So we're going to go ahead and replace on that. I'm not going to go too detailed on this assembly because there are plenty of people out there that have done this before, but I will go over the key components. I obviously have to do something with my distributor. We're finally at that moment. I haven't really touched it. But at least we can see the damn thing now. We can actually see for the viewing pleasure. Fresh off the press. This engine is a one-step at 59 pounds. One full turn minimum for the second. Third step is 33 to 41, and fourth step is 63 to 73. There's our order. There's our front. We'll do the same thing on the other side, even though the front would actually be, you know, the back at that point. Shouldn't matter too much. I'm going to go ahead and get a dowel pin that walked itself out here. I have a spare one. I'm going to go ahead and put that in real quick. Get these wires out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and set both those heads down. This kind of goes without saying, but this surface and the head surface as well, we're going to make sure is completely oil free. I've got to go down each cylinder here, kind of turn everything over, and make sure that as much debris as possible is removed. Probably going to take a Q-tip around the areas space of the ring. That cylinder in the back ain't the healthiest, I know, but we're not going to build a race car. As I always joke, it's a race car. Yeah, sure. It's a joke. It's not a race car. It's just an old farm truck at this point. And I'm sure she'll run. She'll definitely run better than before. So we're going to go ahead and de-oil the gasket surfaces here. I've got some isopropanol. And, you know, we're just basically taking all the oil off here. Once I'm done debris clearing the cylinders, I will take a dab of motor oil, which I'm going to use for my head bolts. I'm also going to just, you know, just butter up each cylinder once I know it's debris free. And then finally we'll start the torquing sequence. We'll set the heads down. So just a little bit more prep work. See that? That's what we're talking about. We just want to make sure that it's clear of any debris. I mean, we're not going to get it all, and this engine will probably burn it up, but we're just hoping that whatever is left behind is soft enough to not matter. And she'll burn it up.
Yeah, I think this might have been a piece of a valve seat.
Or, like Victor said, a piece of a spark plug. That the electrode broke off or whatever, the strap broke off, and you know, that's because it doesn't look big.
No, it's not enough to really do anything.
Yeah, just making sure that we're fairly. That looks mostly like oil, but dirt will stick to oil, so that's a good thing. These heads are reversible, interchangeable, believe it or not, but the gaskets actually have a direction on them, and it's pretty simple for this kit, this specific Velcro kit. This says left. Left is referring to the driver's side, and that one says right, so passenger side. That's how we determined that. The funny thing about it, though, is that as we've studied these heads, they're damn near identical. There is hardly any difference other than a casting number on them. Just a small number. Yeah,
Back side,
lace side,
front side.
That's what we're going to go with. That's what they said. That's the way it fits. Pin is in. How about yours? It's a little rocky.
There we go. It's down on it.
It's down on it. There we go. This is every bit as much effort as I put into the Escort, so hopefully we'll get the same result. Alright, so unlike other videos that just say torque to spec, we're going to tell you, obviously I showed you the paper, 59, and we have the pattern, you know, cross, cross, out, and in. Got it right there. We're going to go ahead though first and oil these, and we're going to hand snug them just to, you know, get started on the bite before we actually take to the first step here. So let's go ahead and do that. Number 1. 7 more to go this side. There to there, there to there, as you know. Oh wait, excuse me, scratch that. Wait, no, yeah. That, and that, and that, and that. Yep, and then we'll do it again. Really overly redundant with what order we're going in, just so that there's no question here. We'll go to 59 pounds first, number 1, and we'll do it for all of them, of course, but I'm just going to film number 1. You kind of get the point. Don't need to do it 16 times. Listening for that click. We're going to go as easy as we can, because if we snap it, that's no fun. There you go, 59. Okay, it's fine.
No, then the next one
Sequence
is this one
number
over
2.
here.
There it is.
And then
Number 3. Yep.
This is where I wasn't sure we had the clearance, but we do.
Our next step will be to loosen them 1 full turn. And this is for proper stretching of these threads. 1-time stretch. So, we'll do the same sequence in a loosen now of 1 full turn. Now you can get a yellow marker out, or you can just use your brain.
Start right here.
Yep.
That's
a quarter.
turn. We'll just do quarter turns, basically. It doesn't want to draw it right exactly, but
Half.
okay, just a little more, that's half. Then another quarter turn, and another quarter turn.
And we're going to do that in the exact sequence once again. Let's skip ahead. So, now this is one of the things I can't stand, is when they give you such a wide range. 33 to 41. I guess you could go to 33. I guess you could go to 41. I guess you could go in between. I really wish, you know, we like solid numbers, but okay. Okay, set to 36. You guys get the point. I don't expect anything crazy to happen on this step, so let's just do it. Okay, 36. Now we're going to go and just set for 65. We'll try to be easy on these guys. That's number 1. 65 pounds. Just take it easy. Okay, how'd that feel?
Nice.
Did it feel like you should go any more? What do you think?
It didn't seem too hard, but why don't we click them all down, and then if
You
we want to
wanna-
add a couple pounds of torque to it, we can. Let's just see how it all goes with 65.
Okay. Okay, so 68 feels good. That is smack dab basically in the center. And then we're going to do this exact same thing on the other side. You guys get the point. So hopefully I don't turn this camera on and say, uh-oh. Far so good. No uh-oh. Just wanted to say, really interestingly enough, I guess I didn't notice this. I was talking about this. I'm going to correct myself real quick. They did plan for you to work on it in the car. You see, Ford really cares about people sometimes, except under the distributor, and it's kind of weird because a lot of Fords, these, you know, end up here, where it looks weird but works, right? But, you know, in this case, yeah, they planned for that, as you can see by the way that that is. So that's nice. Well, guys, I'm sorry, but we snapped one. No, we didn't snap any. They're all good.
You didn't do the double check though on them.
Oh, I did. I did.
you?
Yeah, I doubled on all of them. So those are in, and next we're gonna have to We're gonna lift that so we can get the manifold in there, clean the surfaces, of course. This manifold is gonna have a torque spec as well, and it's those weird Torx star head screws. So that's this guy right here. Might even go ahead and update our fuel injector gaskets. That kit should have them. That's what those were. So we've been cleaning on those. So these are going to be, I mean, they're not going to be great, but they'll be, again, better than ever before. Because when I pulled these out, they were disgusting. Okay, guys, our China wall gaskets. We're going to go ahead and put a little sealant. I'm probably going to opt to do it on both sides. Obviously, the corners are important. These are the paper gaskets, so we're going to put sealant on both sides of them. That's the proper direction that they go. Got my distributor out of the way, and we have our timing marked so we know where to put it back. So we're going to go ahead and do this. There's a torque sequence for this as well. If you remember from earlier in the video, I laid out all my connecting rods, and they're still sitting way back there. We're going to install them back in the same order. That way, technically, the wear to the cam should be fine, even though our valves are all new. So let's go ahead and start moving on this stuff. Pasty. You want to put the gas?
I don't know.
It doesn't
really matters.
I don't think it matters too much. And in fact, that seems to be giving me an issue.
Go the other way. Take them off and put that down.
Hang on. Maybe did I flip it over? I go the wrong direction.
Yeah,
I went the wrong direction. And now we are definitely going to put some paste on that gasket, since I did accidentally anyway. See? All that excess will go right there. Just a really light layer. It's fine. Alright. Paste it in. Get the back one on. And we'll start torquing. Okay, so this is something that seems to happen with... This is the second time we've had an issue with a Felpro kit. The first one regarding the Escort, but this China wall gasket here, and it's in the right direction, it keeps on doing this weird bellow out, and if we press that manifold down on it, it would bellow out further. We've already made a slight modification to it, and we're going to have to continue to modify it because
Just a little bit
right here, and there was a little bit more, there was quite a bit more material.
There's another hump.
Yeah, it was like a circle. And it was not doing what it was supposed to do, so we're going to go ahead and modify that real quick. It will work, but just something to behoove of. You know, and if there's any Felpro people, you know, line workers watching, you guys need to review this. You got the front one right. Getting better, so yeah, I don't know what that was all about, but simple modification to fix it. And it's a good thing we're using RTB as well. Legal landing, here we go. Line it up, walls to walls. Nice. The bolts will do the rest. The diagram here, not very good. That's confusing enough as to where the front and back is. There's some things on there that don't even exist on this motor. Like, I don't know what that is. It's not that, because it's in the corner. There's nothing like that in my corners. That thing back there could have been considered a distributor, so this could be the rear, but then again, it could be a really bad representation for that. So, I think the most important thing to gather from this is you're going to start in a corner, in the center, and you're going to cross over like your tire star pattern, and then you're going to work the outs, right? So that's all I can figure. Step one is bolts 1 through 4 will be hand tight. The torque specs aren't very heavy, so we have our, you know, did all that.
They're calling this number 1.
That's what I'm going to go with. According to the perspective of the picture, that is number 1. So we're going to go with our 11 pounds first, which I have it set to. We're going to do our crisscross pattern, just like how we were doing our heads. The next step will be 19, and I think there's a final step, though this is worded weirdly. It says lower to cylinder head 24 pounds. Well, all of these are going into the cylinder heads. There's 11. Yep, I know. So I can only figure that all of them are going to get 24 pounds. None of these are screwing into the block. They're all going into the head. So that's what we're going to go with. And regardless of where the front of the block is, we're going to set our own order, and as long as we follow it to the T, it shouldn't really matter. As long as we have a cross pattern in the start here, and we finish with a larger cross. Alright, we're on the 19 foots. This is number 5. This is number 6, thus making a larger cross. Just figured I'd show you all that. The last step, I'm going to go to 24. There's number 7. And number 8 will be right here. Come on, double click on me. There you go. And that's it. Looking good. Accessories all in order here. Lots of connections. More than the Escort. It's crazy. Got a power steering bracketry mounted up. It's just a couple bolts. If y'all remember it being taken out. Got one here. You got one hidden down there. You got one on the back side with a double. A stud there. Okay. Got old distributor back in there. Kind of skipping around a little bit because there's a lot of stuff. And it's my apologies.
I don't know what that thing looks to.
We'll find it. I'm sure we did earlier. Get you plugged back in. Yeah. Not fun. Not fun locating that bolt. Process of elimination. That's my recommendation. You eliminate the plugs until there's no more left. Get those injectors in.
Kind of like that's as far as they go in.
Just going ahead here and getting our manifolds bolted up. It's that typical 15 to 22 pounds, if I remember right, for the torques on those. And then we're going to go ahead and tackle this valve train. Alright, that's the order front to back. So we're going to go ahead and put them back down. I'll go and do a loose fit first here, just get them all in place. Alright, I'm going to do one and then do the rest off camera like usual. We're just going to go to 25 pounds. We're not going to play any special games here. Seems that that's worked for several other people and channels and such, so I don't see why it won't work for this type of project that we did here. Torque at 25. We got this cylinder at top dead center. I'm going to go ahead and rotate the motor as I do this. Okay, so with this cylinder at top dead center, I'm going to go ahead, that's 25 pounds. Neither one of these should be on the cam as far as I understand. And we're going to go ahead and do this for everyone that's not on the cam, and then for the one that is, we'll rotate the motor until that's, you know, both rockers are off the cam on that. Okay, check that again. Playing games with wire locations and the fuel lines. Got the valve covers back on. Looks pretty good. A little bit of grunge I left behind, but, you know, that's fine. Pretty soon we'll get the alternator in and the rest of the accessories. Alright, got a few things plugged in. Valve covers down. Distributor. Light our plug order here, and I'm going to go ahead and put this intake back on. A new gasket for that. It's kind of jumping around a little bit, I know. Yeah. Do you remember what size? The ground?
It's actually the power charge wire.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Looking more like a ridiculous amount of crowded stuff. Alright guys, we are at oil change status now. I'm going to go ahead and put gloves on, even though I'll probably still get it on my hands. But we'll pretend that we're going to try to stay clean of it. You guys already know that I hate where this oil filter is. This is my one complaint. This truck, and holy crap is that loose. Thanks earlier me, that's actually very useful. I'm in a really crappy headspace right now because unfortunately my girl-to-be has, well guys, like the country songs would suggest, she gone, dawn left me and my truck don't run and a dog ran away. I don't even have dogs. It's all a true story, and it's quite sad, and I don't know. I loved her. I have no idea. Yeah, that sucks. This was gonna be a fun truck to drive with her. She always loved this truck. Somebody to show you how to do a damn oil change, but you know, Motorcraft. At least we're putting quality in there, right? You guys missed it. There was some coolant and crap, and it all smelled like engine degreaser, so I know that's from degreasing it. It actually, I mean, it's pretty obvious. The bad news about taking your time on a project like this is events can happen in your life that really change your perspective and kind of change the mood. That's what happened to me. Another bad thing about taking your time, if you're doing this as a job, is, well, time is money. Customer, you know, there's expectations. But the good thing about taking your time is that you know that everything, at least sealant-wise, like water pump areas, timing cover, at least we know all that stuff is nice and tacked up. So, you know, so we took our time. That's okay. Probably could have got this done a hell of a lot faster, but what are you going to do? Guess we're going to see if she fires up. Alright, so we're at a pretty big moment here, but since we've been messing around and had to unbuckle that distributor, it's most likely way out of time. We'll see if she's going to bark off and fire. So this will be the first time we've done this. I thought it would be a good time to note the mileage on this truck, because I don't think I showed you guys when I showed up here. So 241, 493, that's where we shut her down, and we're going to go ahead and see if she starts up. It's going to get loud. We're also full of water because we're kind of doing like a flush. Here we go. Well, there's fire. Ready? Missing quite a lot. Ooh, she's not happy. It's going to get really smoky, so we might pull her out. Well, the good news is she barks off the moment you turn the key. It just doesn't run very smooth yet. Probably we're hoping it's just timing. That oil looks pretty good, so I don't see any sign of water in it, so that's good. You guys know, if you've worked on this truck before, that distributor is not fun to unbuckle that back bolt from. 10mm holding the distributor in place. Dead cylinder, but we got the timing pretty well in. I'm going to go ahead and do the old pull the wire off the plug and put it back on while she's running routine to see which one it is. I'm pretty sure if it's going to be any of them, it's probably that one in the back there, but we will see. We're definitely missing at least one cylinder in that bank, which is not a great thing. That's pretty wet fouled. Smells like fuel.
But you got to get this other one off too.
Right there, number 3. So yeah, it definitely wasn't firing. Alright, now before any of you start commenting on what you think the problem is, just stay tuned, because I eventually figured out what went wrong. It had to do with not checking over my dad's work. Let's go enjoy some of our work, you know, even if it's kind of a letdown, it's still running, so let's go have some fun. Yeah, that mist don't sound good. We've got a cam and an open exhaust. Nope. No, we do not. That does not sound good. Well, she got oil pressure. Well, at least that much is true. We'll make her work, I guess. That's no good. We have heat. We have oil pressure. We got a check light, which doesn't surprise me because our timing's way off. And of course we're missing on one cylinder, so yeah, no surprise. Check engine light. Sure. Unfortunately, with that cylinder out, it's not going to give us much more to work with. You guys are not going to believe what's wrong. It's not compression. Now, I did a compression test, and those cylinders, I actually didn't have fire on 2 of them. so they weren't getting properly warmed up to set the head gasket in. But even that being said, they had about 130, 135 pounds, which is a little low, but it should still, you know, still bark off. It wasn't spark, though it's related. It wasn't injectors. My dad somehow had a goof up. He switched these two plugs around, which would explain the very loud exhaust sounds. See, I thought maybe we disturbed the donut some more right there on the flange. No, she was making sounds out the exhaust valve on both cylinders. That would be why it got louder. That sound should have been an indication, and I should have checked his work. That's why I went ahead and did it now. But it's been about a week of hunting problems, doing compression tests, and trying to figure out what could be the issue. Yeah, let's go show you how much better it is. We still got that starting issue to fix on this truck, but now keep in mind we only got a time by ear going here, so she's a little bit luggy, but you know, my compressions aren't exactly even either. That's so much better. Let's go for a ride. Before, I couldn't even keep it in third gear on this hill. She wouldn't even make 55, 60, or just barely make 60 on a flat. And now she's pulling right up the hill, no problem. Yeah, she is so back in action. I couldn't even hit 65 before. She's actually starting to pull up the hill. Well, not doing bad. Not doing bad at all. Fifth gear. Kind of sustaining. Damn good oil pressure. I didn't replace the oil pump, but she's giving me better pressure than she's ever given me. Crystal clear oil. Not a drop of moisture in it. That's great. Nice to be back.